friends, it's Annie from AK Luxury Properties. Today on Ask Annie, we're going to switch gears a bit. The past two sessions were both on real estate law related matters, and so now we're going to change it up a bit and speak a little bit about the emotional aspect of buying and selling a house. Oftentimes, we get so caught up in the process of the actual transaction that we forget that there's a human element behind it. I mean, after all is said and done, you're really making one of the biggest, if not the biggest, decisions for you and your family. And that's where you're going to plant your roots and where you're going to call home. And specifically, one of the major challenges that buyers face today is that it is a seller's market, which is amazing news for our sellers. But what if you're the buyer and your offer keeps getting rejected time and time again? There are some tricks to help make your offer stronger, which you can DM me and I will tell you all about. But for the emotional aspect, I have with me today licensed therapist Kini Chang to help discuss some self-care methods that you can take advantage of and use during these stressful and challenging times. Kini, thank you so much for joining me today. Can you start by telling us a little bit about your background?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kini Chang. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I've been practicing now at this point for about 10 years, 11 years or so. And so I practice in Northern California, where my expertise is actually in intergenerational trauma, working with relationships and couples, as well as, understanding kind of how our attachments to whether it's our family or our parents, our relationships can really impact and influence the way that we interact in the world and how we're affected by that and how our emotions can be very tied with that. So my hope today is to be able to support you all in understanding your relationship or attachment to what's going on with the bidding process and buying a home and how this can actually be a really, really stressful process for folks. So I'm really hoping to be able to support you in shifting that stress and figuring out what to do in this
Yes.
process.
So I know that right now is a seller's market, Kini, and a lot of buyers are just very, very disheartened and emotionally drained and frustrated because they're falling in love with homes, placing bids on it, giving it their all, and still getting rejected. So, what are some of the things they can do to kind of help manage all the stress around this?
Yeah. So I first and foremost, I completely understand. For me personally, I've been a home buyer and have been in this process before, and it is, firsthand can understand how grueling it is in such a competitive market. Um, One of the things I would say is how thinking about in your own life, how do you manage stress, right? Buying a home is kind of a full-time job, or it can feel like it, and in some ways even more difficult. Even with our work, sometimes we're even a bit more detached from our own work. And so when we think about how do we decompress in our own lives and the ways that we do that on a daily basis, particularly in this case, it would be maybe after a conversation with your realtor or after a visit to a property, making sure that in those moments or after those conversations and visits happen, that you take some time to take care of yourself. And really, I think I would build it in as a practice, because by the time you've gone through multiple properties, you've gone through multiple bidding process, you feel the pressure and the overwhelm. And by that point, it's like we're not making good decisions. And I really want to support you on being able to make the best decision for yourself and for your family. Um, so I think about it like, how do we stay balanced in this? How do we stay grounded? How do we stay balanced? How do we true to where what it is that's our vision for our future? Because your home is you likely going to be living here possibly for many, many, many years. So that stress management piece and really integrating it into each moment or process. So again, post visit to a property, but really after that, what can you do to decompress? I would say even something as simple as taking a couple deep breaths before you even start the car, right? Something so simple, but getting in the car,
Very cleansing breaths.
yeah, really letting that go. And if you're open, Diane, if you're open to me talking a little bit about something, a simple kind of breath folks can do,
Yeah,
I would love to share that. Is it okay for me to share that now?
yeah, let's do it.
So there's something called a vagal nerve. Our vagal nerve and vagal system is deeply connected to our nervous system. It's what activates our parasympathetic system versus our sympathetic system. When you're in a bidding war, you're looking at property. When you're attached, when you're amped to see, what this place has to offer, pressures of your, sometimes your realtor has this, they're on a go, 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 right? Your sympathetic system is activated, whether you notice it or not. And so there's a breath I'm going to teach you that will instantly relax and drop you into your parasympathetic system, which is a more relaxed state. And so it's a it's a 4-6-8 breath. So you're breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 6 seconds, and then exhaling for 8. So the inhale is going to feel a bit kind of quick, right? And you might need a little bit of adjustment to it. But that deep and long exhale is what's really going to tap you into that space. So let's just do one together, and then folks can kind of integrate it into their life. Okay. So let's go ahead and breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so my recommendation is the moment you get into your car, do the 4, 6, 8, and maybe 3 to 5 before you even start that car and get moving.
That's a great tip. I actually already feel a lot better just doing that one right now.
Mhm.
Definitely try that out. Um, I know, like for me, in my process with my clients, one of the first things we do when we meet together is we go through a vision of, where they see themselves, and what they kind of want to feel in their home. And this kind of helps me to guide them in a way where they don't get attached to like the little things like, oh, the kitchen island has to be a certain size or whatever, but really focus on that feeling. So I think maybe a little bit of support in how they can really like hone in on that and tie back to that main principle of like, okay, it's not about like your 3-car garage. It's about this life that you envision for your family.
As you're asking this question, Annie, and just for me to think about, actually, I've done some vision boarding work with clients around different areas, career, home, family, in my work with clients. And actually, I've done specifically a vision board around creating a home with clients. And I don't know if that's something you want to hear about. I think that might be really helpful for your clients on how I walk them through that process. And this is something they can do on their own. They don't need a therapist to necessarily do this with them. But that's what we're really, really working on is that piece around how do you feel? Like not just how you feel, but what feels aligned. And when I talk about alignment feels like it feels good, but it also feels secure, right? Sometimes the feeling that we get is like we get really elated, we get super excited, but it actually doesn't feel very secure. It feels like we're all over the place.
Right, like you're flying by the seat of your
pants. So it's that combination of the two, which is this feels good in my body, this feels right, but I also feel secure in this decision making, right? So that combination. So vision boarding, I usually will actually have clients go through home magazines, different kinds of, and just like really be pulling. And everybody has an intuitive sense about who they are and what they want and where they're going. We may not always think that we do, but it's all within you already. And so it's about helping clients to access that. And so when I vision board, I have clients pull things in magazines and pieces that speak to them. Right. And then I have them think about these 2 pieces about what makes them feel happy, like joyful, and then secure.
So and it would be good to like come back to that if, along the journey, they start feeling overwhelmed and frustrated that they're just losing out on bids over and over and over, that to like stay focused and maintain steady with this vision that they have and focus on that.
Yeah, and they actually create a vision board. I have them put it up on their wall while they're in their home buying journey. And it's this visual prompting is very important because we can get lost in our head and we can go into a spiral and we don't even know how we got there once we start getting into these the buying process, right? And so this is a visual prompt. And for clients, I even have them use it as their meditative practice. Yeah. I have to go back to it and be like, okay, 2 minutes with your vision board. Hone back in on your purpose, why you even started on this journey, and what it feels like. What is it that's coming to you in that moment as you're relooking and reconnecting with your vision board?
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten really, really great feedback from clients about it. It's been very grounding for them. It reminds them their joyful place. It makes them feel inspired again because it reconnects you with the moment in which you created it, which is
Mm-hmm.
the place that you want to go back to.
Yeah, and the place where you want to end up too. Awesome. So other than the breaths, I know you have some other tricks like that we were talking about. Can you share some more of those? Like go driving by the ocean or connecting with nature?
So, I think one of the things that I love talk about in Southern California, for example, you have such a huge accessibility to the ocean, right? And beaches. And this is such an amazing natural resource for you and for folks who live down there. I think nature is a wonderful way to release, heal, and let go of the things that are going on. I actually do this ocean meditation with clients where I have them connect their breath with the flow of the ocean, where they breathe in as the ocean waves comes towards them, breathe out as the ocean waves recede. This is a way to actually tap into the natural resource and into your body so that you actually have a symbiotic relationship with nature to support you in addressing whatever stress or things that you might be dealing with. And so I recommend maybe doing that vagal breath when you get in the car, but sometimes that you're still feeling it. It doesn't seem to have released. You're still kind of feeling that tension. You might be gripping your steering wheel. You keep thinking about what you just saw, what you want to do. At that point, maybe a second layer would be driving to the ocean before you go home. Just making a quick pit stop. And even if you don't go, maybe even just putting your feet in the sand, right? It's so grounding to connect your like skin to sand or skin to earth or skin to tree, whatever that contact. And you're going to notice, even for myself, as I just hold on to something that's very tactile, it really grounds me. So again, being able to just do a 5-minute pit stop before you go home, before you bring all that back into your house, I recommend that as well.
I also keep a little bag of crystals in my car, and I think those really help me in like a pinch when I can't get to the ocean or a tree.
Yeah.
Just grab out my crystals that I chose that have a lot of meaning and significance to myself personally, and just kind of, like you said, just hold on to it, and it just definitely hold on to it and take a few of those breaths. And I think that
Talking about crystals, I didn't really necessarily plan for that, but I can talk a little bit about something called like crystal gridding if you're open. So this is a grid that it's a manifestation grid, and depending on what it is that you want to do, you can have a number of crystals that kind of go on the grid. And for clients who are interested in learning about manifestation of particular areas, there are certain crystals that you can create in your space. And so I have crystal grids, one in my living room and one in my bedroom, and they do different things. And so if I'm trying to manifest abundance, for example, then I'm creating crystal grid with a number of various crystals that are really centralizing and focusing on creating abundance in my life. It's part of my meditation, it's part of my breathing in the morning, and I usually keep it there for about a week or two before I like cleanse and release and create like a new crystal grid depending on what I'm doing. um, I have an interview coming up next week. And so I'm going to be creating a grid tomorrow, probably for the week, so that I'm in preparation for that. And I would, if that's something folks are interested in, I would be more than happy to talk about that for their home process.
and we will include Kini's information in the caption below, so you can contact her if you want to get custom one set up for yourself.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, I mean, what if, I do have clients all over the board, friends all over the board, some people not into crystals, that's fine. What do you think of, I guess changing things up for them? What do you think about that? Like in the process, maybe it's taking them to a house that they would never even think of seeing.
Yeah, I actually think changing a pattern is very important in this process. And that could be, a lot of times what happens, and you can all probably remember, speak to this, notice this, but you get tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
And you get so caught up on what it is that you think you want that you can't even see anything other than that, right? You probably walk into a home and you're like, I know that I want black granite table countertops with this island that's this size. And it's like you walk in, and if the house doesn't have it, it's like an automatic write-off, right? We've all been there. And how that is actually you getting in your own way. You're getting in your own way of the possibility of something amazing. And so I think one of the ways to shift that is sometimes maybe, obviously people trust their realtor on different levels, but you might even want to ask, like, show me something I would never even think about. Show me something that isn't even on my list. Show me something that just to shake it up a little bit. And I would say, if you feel yourself beginning to find like you're spiraling and you're in this tunnel vision and you're doing that kind of thing that I just talked about, ask for that potentially. Because what will happen there is that you're stepping in with a very different mindset. You're coming in with a very different lens. And that's going to provide your brain actually a shift. And when you shift that, you might go back to that house and still want those things, like still want those dark granite top countertops. Like you might still want those things, but you might notice that you've let up on a little bit of that rigidity.
Mm-hmm.
If you let up on a little bit of that rigidity, it gives you a little bit more space to actually choose. um it's like being in a relationship, or I don't know, dating.
Mm-hmm.
and and I want to talk about this actually, like, it is a relationship. We have relationships with our homes, our we have relationships with people in our life, but not only that, we get attached to things, right? This is an attachment. And so if it is like a relationship and we're dating, you're finding the right partner, right? You're finding the right home. Some of these homes are going to be, you're going to have a longer relationship with them than maybe any relationship you've had in your life. 30 years, 40 years, we haven't been with our partners that long even, right? So you're really finding and kind of vetting. So when we even think about when we're dating, how many times have we had a checklist and was like, boom, 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 they don't hit all of our checklists. I'm writing them off.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we missed an opportunity for something great. And so we come from that perspective. How can we have a framework of what we're looking for, but we don't diminish the possibility of something awesome simply
Right.
because we're so attached, we can't let go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to really focus on that vision in the beginning and going back to that happy place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Kini, for joining us today and giving us all these super helpful tips that that we can use right away in our home buying journey, as ways to decompress and refocus and recenter and get back to your vision and your happy place. If any of you want to know more or talk to Kini more, her Instagram is at Wellness with Kini, which we will also add in the caption. You can connect with her there, or you can also check her out on her website at kinichang.com. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kini.
Take care.
Bye.
Good luck with your buying journey.
Thank you. Bye.